So I don't know about you, but that one made me cry. So go ahead and dab your eyes if you need to. As I bring onto the stage your Gently James, that's Zosha Rockmore. And then right behind her, I have your Evan Fisher, that's Alano Miller. Please join us. And then right behind them, we have a winner for the best name at the festival on the first day, Blitz Bazawule. Please join us. So thank you all so much for being here. I was telling you all backstage how much I love the show. How many of you have seen anything beyond just this episode? Anybody? All right, we got a few people who have cherished already. So you know what I'm about to say. This show is so real for me, and that's one of the things that I find most interesting about it, and I'm curious if that's one of the things that drew you in. Just how messy and mundane and transcendent that it is everyday life, the way a relationship really happens.
Yeah, that is definitely something that drew me in. Even just in the first episode that we read, I just saw so much of myself in Gently. I saw a lot of myself in Evan. I saw a lot of like my exes in Gently and in Evan. So yeah, it's just hella real and like every day. And it was cool to see a black female character get to be that regular.
Like day to day. And when we had spoken before, Zosha, you said that you and Alano actually knew each other before this, but hadn't worked together. And so I think you might have just said you knew each other from being black in Hollywood.
Yeah, from like being like in New York and being, I went to college with his wife. Yeah, there's like a little like black theater clique kind of like in New York at the time, and we were both in it. I didn't do no theater, unfortunately. I never booked none. But yeah, but I was still in the clique though.
So Alano, do you feel like that made things a little bit easier for you, having a pre-existing relationship, sort of getting into this?
Yeah, actually, it was a safe, trusting space where we could put everything on the table and really just try to explore and dig deep. So we talked about our past relationships. We talked about where these characters are going, the things that you all will not see, actually. And, you know, when the cameras weren't rolling, we were always talking. We were talking about everything, love, life, war, peace, just getting each other's views. So every time that we got a chance to dig deep into our friendship, it honestly helped us with the work.
And I want to ask you all about this really interesting structure that's happening here, that you're time jumping with every episode. We're seeing one day. So both as actors and as a director, how much are you actually filling in for yourself the time in between? Are you writing out, not literally writing out, but sort of writing out for yourselves what has happened between the last episode and this episode so you can get the depth of the next step?
I think, you know, for me, I definitely started out doing that because we had a little bit of time to actually break down where we were and what we were going next. But as you go on, because it's moving so fast, television is moving, you're getting scripts sometimes that feel like, you know, within a few days of you shooting, you started to then say, okay, it's just me and you. What we gonna do?
Yeah. Specifically with this episode that y'all just watched, I feel like this was like a kind of a turning point for the characters, and like for us, it almost felt like it came from nowhere or something. And so we really had to fill it in and to justify how we got to that place.
Right, how sort of extreme her reaction is
Yeah.
to him not caring about a thing.
Yeah, just the extreme look difference, like all of that. We had to really fill it in. But that's fun, though. I feel like we do that anyway as actors. So this time it actually mattered. It wasn't just like in my character journal. It was like, okay, I need my character journal or else it ain't going to make no sense.
Right.
And for you, Blitz, since you're coming on after other directors have come before you, and so there has to be some sort of continuity, I would imagine, that's expected, but you also want to put your own thing on it. So is it helpful that it's a time jump because then you can kind of do your own thing?
No, absolutely, it was. On my side, you know, I valued, first of all, having access to these incredible actors who were extremely open and you know, would voice, you know, if there were issues, and understanding character, environment, trajectory, arc. So I was fortunate in that regard. But having the opportunity to almost have a blank slate, was huge for me because, cinematically, I mean, you want to have your vision, you want to have what you want to say, and usually in television, once the pilot's shot, you're locked, and that wasn't the case here. I mean, I got to pick several locations that were new, costumes that were new, shots, lots of shots, low angle shots.
That thing with the phone where she was
Shots
walking
under
on with the
table,
phone
shots
on the thing.
grading.
All types of shots.
And you guys love that, right?
I loved it
They
the
were
most.
amazing.
I loved it the most.
Don't listen to these folks. They gave me a hard time about my low angle shots.
Bro,
We got one
we're going to
take.
come from here, all right?
Listen.
We did get coverage in lieu of the under the table
Please,
shot.
please. Actually, you guys can
He's a
tell.
director, and man, it has to work.
Listen.
He has a vision.
You see, but I mean, the other thing to consider is I was inheriting a very fatigued crew. They had come from doing 4 prior episodes, very tiring, and so for me, it was about coming in and expanding the vocabulary that they had already set, so that it didn't feel mundane, and they get this jolt of energy again. And for me, it was about creating the vibe on set, which will allow people to feel valued, to feel important, and feel that they could contribute. So those are the things that personally made it possible for me to push through.
Because I want to say that I'm going to pronounce her name wrong. Is it Deborah Kampmeyer, who had been previous to, really established, for a show that is just, quote unquote, just about a relationship, this is not a static visual show at all. You're going all over the place. You're at beaches. You're in these beautiful, real estate porn homes. And, you're in the office. You guys are going all over. And I'm wondering if that's actually helpful in terms of, clearly it's probably helpful for you, but for you guys to, really imbue these characters to have these different places that are their places.
It definitely,
Miss Loomis' house.
right, it definitely informed my character because I'm not from South Los Angeles, you know what I mean? So I'm not from that area. So to then be in that space, to feel like an outsider at times, and then to feel at home. Because where we shot in episode 4, where we shot the fight scene between my mom and I, where we do all that is actually in Pasadena where I live. So that felt, I was like, well, I'm at home, I was like, this is gonna be easy ride home. So in that way, and then to have Zosha, who's actually from that area, and then for her to then kind of give me the tour, was really exciting.
So it's actually, your relationship in real life is not unlike this relationship on screen.
Basically, yeah. I was the tour guide. And during all the scenes, I was like, here's where I got my hair braided in 2nd grade. And here is where my mom used to work. This is where my best friend lives.
So there was a comfort level for you, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And that was definitely the most time I've spent in Malibu on this show. As Native Angelino, we don't be going to the beach like that. But
It takes forever.
right, and we was out there in Zuma and all the places. This means nothing to this crowd. They're like, what are you
It's
talking
far
about?
away.
The Boondocks.
It's actually only 15 miles, but it takes 90 minutes to get there because it's Los Angeles. But I want to talk about some of the needle drops on the show. Now, I know you guys aren't in charge of those, but man, the music on the show is great. And in that 2nd episode, when you're going from Susie and the Banshees to Romeo Boy to Bill Withers, and so I'm guessing that music is important to all of you and important to the show. Have you learned things from this? Have you made any suggestions about what should be there?
No, I mean musically on term. No, it's so cool to act in something. When we knew about the Susie and the Banshee scene, because those songs were written in the script, but in terms of all this amazing music that I keep hearing, it's being revealed to me episode by episode too. So I'm just like the fans. I'm like, dang, we need a soundtrack or a playlist.
Spotify playlist at the very least. And then we need to talk about Ava, who you had experience before with your independent film with Array. And so was this the first time for you all working with Ava?
Yes.
And so do you get that call and you're like, yes, immediately?
I mean, I feel like for us as the actors, it's more like the audition first. So it wasn't like a cool call offer where I'm like, yes. It was like, will you read? And I was like, yes, I will come read. Then I read, then I'm like, fingers crossed. Then I read again and again and again and again. And each time I was
This is interesting. How many times did you have to read?
I read maybe it was 3 or 4. which is a lot for my heart and soul. Just as an actor, it's not that much, but each time Ava was there, and each time I was like,
girl, how much is enough?
But it was dope each time to get to go in there. But I was like chemistry reading with like different guys, but each time felt like an audition, and I was just happy to get to act in front of Ava DuVernay each time.
And so for Alano, how was it for you?
It was, I'm a one-take wonder. No, I'm just playing.
You know what I'm
Be
saying?
No,
careful.
it was-
that
it was-
means different things to
Yeah,
different
I know.
people.
Oh, no, not that way. Come on, this is a family show. No, I know, right? It was one. I had a chemistry read with her, and they didn't want us to know who we were reading with. So you do what most actors do, which is you go to the security booth and you look at the list. And I saw that it was Zosha, and I knew I was going to win at that point. I mean, it was a friendship. We already knew, we were going to at least have a blast. And so, but she was just, Ava's one of those people where she's just like, right, let's just play. Let's just, her energy is so forward that she wants everyone to win. And we just collaborated, and we vibed, and we had a blast. And then, that phone call comes, and she's like, hey, King, how you doing? And I'm like, either this is going to be really good or really bad. And she was just like, I know you're working on some other stuff right now, but I just feel that you and Zosha would be great together. And if you don't mind just, thinking about, if you're not interested, I understand. I'm like, woman, if you, bone, if you don't just give me this job so I can go to work. But she was just so gracious, and she doesn't have expectations of you saying yes because it's her. She knows that, we're all working and we all want the best. And if this is a fit, it has to fit. It has to be right. And, of course, I did my little dance, and that was it.
And Bliss, this is your first time directing episodic television, correct? And so did she come to you and say, hey, I think this would be a good fit for you?
Indeed, she did. And it was actually, it came out of a conversation. My film had come out and was doing quite well, and she.
And it's available on Netflix,
It
right?
is
Tell
available
the people
on Netflix.
the name of the movie.
Plug, The Burial of Kojo.
You should watch it.
And she was like, Blitz, I really think you should expand your palette. Features good, but you should also, experiment with TV. And at the time, I was like, I don't like TV. Yeah.
TV's where it's at, man.
But no, conceptually, I had no idea it would be this much fun. I had no idea it would be, as challenging and as rewarding. And yes, and she told me about the show. I met the showrunner, and at the time, I was in Ghana actually when I got the call. Yeah, I was home, jobless, like most people in my profession. And she was like, Blitz, yeah, you might have to get on a plane tomorrow. And I was like, yes, immediately. So I came in, I got the script, I met them, and for me, the difference with, feature filmmaking is, the director is king. Like you get to decide almost everything about where the story goes, how it looks, the vibe, the feel. Television's so different. You sit third if you're lucky. Yes,
Runner, then you.
Everybody before you, which for me was extremely humbling, because for the first time, I couldn't just say we're gonna do it like that. I had to be like, oh, you're gonna have to make 3 phone calls before you can do it like that. And that was an experience that I needed. It was extremely humbling. But then the process of also, kind of getting to know your cast and your crew, like I said, we're quite fatigued and tired. But then knowing that, oh wow, we can bring some of what we do in feature filmmaking into this 30-minute block. So let's expand the vocabulary. Let's try new shots. Let's break out of what is expected of us. So those things were incredibly rewarding.
And then I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess that it was incredibly rewarding for all of you to work with Miss Cicely Tyson.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not for me. No, I'm just
Alano hated it.
Like it was fine. So when you first meet her, when you approach her, I'm imagining she's lovely and puts you at ease, or is she regal and you must earn it?
She's definitely regal, but she's easy to smile, quick to smile. She's a Sag, so she's friendly, she's gorgeous, but she's definitely regal. And it was amazing to work with her. I feel like when it was rumored, they're like, they might get Miss Cicely Tyson to Miss Luma. I was like, yeah, right. She ain't finna do this. I don't know why I thought that. But I was just like, I don't know. I was like, is she like doing big old shows like that anymore still? That woman is so lively and is making different
She's
choices.
95 years
95,
old.
yeah. She flies from New York to LA to shoot her episodes and flies back and then flies back and forth the whole time. She's a queen. It was amazing. It was so dope to
And
just
so
watch her.
all your parents and grandparents are like, what?
Yeah.
You
I
made
mean,
it. You made it.
I got to dance with her, and when we did that scene, and then people saw it, they were, I didn't expect like my brother to text me and be like, "You are untouchable now because you know." I'm like, "What? I didn't," But that's, it was an experience. It's always fun. You don't know what she's gonna do, which is the exciting part. You don't know if she's gonna just jump out of nowhere.
She would be like, she did this one time. Like in a take. Like,
In a take.
just like, you're like, whoa.
Right.
Okay. It was so cool.
She just seen Shakira at the Super Bowl. What was that about? What was happening there?
Goes far. She just goes all in.
So I believe I just got a high sign. We are here, obviously, to chat. I know some of the folks in the audience are students, and we have time for a couple questions. So raise your hand, make yourself known, sing out, Louise. Who would like to ask a question? Don't be shy.
No one.
Everyone knows their answers.
All right, right here in the second row.
Hi, I'm Nicole. My question is for Blitz. I wanted to know what makes you kind of want to expand yourself and not put yourself in a niche, being from Africa. Like, what would you say is like the best way to try and tell stories, but not also be known as one certain type of storyteller? I assume being part of this TV show is one way to do it, but what other ways would you suggest?
Well, I mean, first it comes from the fact that I'm many things, as we all are, Unfortunately, society is like snapshot. That's who you are, and most of us rebel against that. And so I've taken my rebellion even further. I started as a musician, and didn't stop there, and even while I made music, I didn't make music like they expected me to make music. So when I got into film, I was just like, it worked there. It will work here. And it's, first of all, understanding that, I'm part of a people who are all over this planet. The African diaspora is broad and expansive. So whether it's folks in Brazil, whether it's folks in Europe, whether it's folks in the US, Caribbean, on the continent, like we're a myriad of people. And so I know that I have to talk to all these people, and these people have to talk to me. And so in that sense, I'm always lending myself to this experience, and if making TV helps me do that, great. If making a feature, making a short, making an animation, whatever it is, I really think that my job here is to be part of this diasporic conversation that is happening all across the board in multiple media forms. And so that's where it comes from, and the need to kind of keep contributing to that. And so this was an incredible opportunity to tackle a Black relationship. It's very African American in its setup, but it's no different from relationships in Cape Town or in Accra or in Lagos. It's two people trying to find themselves, while staying together. So I think that we also have to kind of be careful at these boxes that we carry, that are foisted on us. I know that's not a word, but it works.
And I think it's a line that Cicely has in the show about boxes and prisons. And one of the things that what you just said to me is the essence of part of what was appealing to this show for me is that it's about Black love, but it's not about being Black. It's about Black people who are in love. The struggle is not that they are Black. The struggle is the relationship. And what she says, she also has that great line, struggle and joy, struggle and joy. And that is what life is, and that is what love is, and that is what you all are doing. And I'm wondering sort of how crucial that is for you as storytellers, that's the story you're telling, that it's a Black love story, but it is a universal love story.
For me, I mean, look, we have it in film, but we don't really get to dive into it in television, and we don't get to break it down the way that we're doing it. So to be a part of something that feels like a new format, to feels like something that we can explore, something that we can challenge the challenge society, challenge our own voices, challenge us as an artist. You know, you are in a perfect situation to really just kind of explore in a way that we actually haven't been allowed to do.
That sex scene alone in the shower, can you even name another time that we have been able to see that on screen? That it's loving and it's beautiful and it's simple and it's just part of the relationship.
Yeah, probably like Waiting to Exhale,
But on TV.
but on TV, no,
Hell no.
no.
So, I mean, and that's a
No.
beautiful thing. It's like we keep talking about how representation matters, and representation of stuff like that matters too.
I mean, I just feel like right now what has been exciting is that the people who are watching it are finding hope in love again, and there's this invigoration. You know, they're being invigorated by this thing, this notion that love is still out there, and that there's a possibility, and that it is complicated. I feel like we've oversimplified love, and because of, or we've just removed it altogether, and because of the social society, where I mean social media, where we're just like left, right, swipe right, do all the things. So it's just very like, well, I don't know, and people are trash, and blah 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 blah. And
Which is also not untrue.
right, and all those things are true, but at the same time too, they send sometimes the wrong message. That there can't be this beautiful unification, that there can't be, that it can't be complicated, that it has to look a certain way and has to feel perfect all the time, that it can't feel mundane or boring and all the other things. So, I mean, the fact that we get to explore that is just very exciting for us.
And before I want to just see if anybody else had a question. Don't be afraid. There you are in the front row. Let's hear it. Right in the front row.
Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Malik Jones. I'm a dramatic writing major at SCAD. So my question from the writing standpoint, unfortunately I'm not more familiar with the previous episodes of the show, but from what I've seen, how often do you guys see each other, especially either with Ms. Tyson or with each other, straying from the script as far as, you know, letting those real emotions kind of sing or come through as far as, you know, the dialogue between you two?
I think I mean, the scripts are really well written, so we like stuck to the page a lot, but we did have fun improvising. I'm a big improviser because I come from a comedy background. On the Mindy Project, we would do like a pass as written, and then we would just do like a zany pass where like, and of course we would still stay on the story, but like we would add things in to kind of like, I don't know, like I guess fill up the fill the space sometimes. Not just like adding in things just to fill space, but just anything that like goes with the character. Or like if the character said something one way and you might like freak it to make it more realistic, you know, or freak it to make it more to come out your mouth easier. Like sometimes lines be coming out your mouth like clunky and you're like, ooh, why can't I say this? And you might have to just change the to thee or something like that. But I mean, I feel like we were lucky in the sense that it was pretty well written, so we didn't like have to always do that. But we definitely enjoyed doing that.
I mean, there are moments though, like you won't scenes later, like episodes later. Cicely Tyson and I have a little moment, and it was like her last day, and it was really really hard to say goodbye, you know. And so she was just being in the moment, and it was like, please don't do this to me. 'Cause I don't know if we can do this right now, you know. And she allowed herself to be in that space, and yeah, we got one take that was like that, but then you just don't know because it's magical moments. So it's like, be just open to the process, and you know, yes, of course you want to get the thing, but also there might be something better. You just never know.
I mean, just in terms of, you know, specifically to your question, the idea of sticking to the page. I mean, in network television, that is quite the mandate. You know, it's you know, you're supposed to shoot what's written. That's what you're hired to do. And so for me, a lot of it was first having the kind of relationship that I have with Ava, which was very helpful because in most shows, your executive producer wouldn't be open to even having conversations about specific things that bother the actors, because that for me is the primary thing. It's like we're searching for truth. That's the only reason we're here, where we want to get to truth. And so sometimes some words just don't allow us to arrive at truth. And so, you know, we also got to that point where we were like, look, we know what's on the page, and if we do, and we had a tight schedule, very tight. but I always made sure that for the sake of my actors, I always gave them that space, no matter what it was. Before lights go down, let's try it the way you want it. And here's the funny thing: a lot of time, that's what ends up on screen. And as a director, not all the time, but you always know when it's truth. You know what I mean? And so you would. It's your responsibility if you're at the center of that seat to always know that you're pretty much, you know, trying to guide everyone to this truth. Sometimes because writers write in a silo, right? Actors act in a silo. Executive producers executive produce in a silo, right? And you're the one in the middle who kind of, you know, creates the synergy amongst everybody finally. So it's your responsibility to know that if truth isn't being found in this moment, you have to take it up the ladder and make sure that your actors feel comfortable delivering. And if they face pushback, then you should, and if you truly believe that they're right, then you should always make space. It'll take you, another take will take you 30 to 40 seconds. It's better to do it. Because again, when you get into that editing room, you'll find out that I'm so glad we did it that way, because that other way would have never worked, you know. And it's happened a few times on this show.
And if I may, just as someone who has written things that other people have said, don't be so married to something that you are hurt when it changes. It's a collaborative process, and sometimes the great idea you had is just made greater by somebody else building on it. And I can't believe that we're already getting the wrap-up sign, because I want to ask about cheesecake and centipede, and I cannot tell you all enough who haven't watched the show yet. Go back. It is on demand. It is one of my favorite things on TV right now, and I watch a lot of TV. It's really good, and it's worth the investment of your time. I want to thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. Thank you. Tuesdays at 10 on OWN.